Chief Commercial Planning and Synergy Officer and Executive Committee Member, Bank Misr, and also he will share the floor with Mr. Sharif Baheri, CEO of Digital Banking, Bank Misr. They will, of course, they will raise the issue of technology and digital technology of banks. Thank you.
Okay, hello. Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. It's my honor and pleasure to be ahead of you in this, inshallah, enjoyable and beneficial sessions. We'll talk about main themes: financial inclusion, emerging technologies, fintech, and impact on financial system. Maybe in a moment to introduce myself, I've been in business banking 33 years. And I have dual career, banking as well as visiting professor in a number of universities. So now, our agenda is very simple, 3 parts. Same as we do in strategy. Where do we stand today, where we are going to be, and how to get there. So first, unraveling the big picture. In fact, the big picture today is very crowded. There are literally thousands of applications, entrepreneur, banks, etc., etc. So we need at first to understand very simply what is this crowded big picture. Then we move to the trend. There is big trend is taking place. Not all of us are experts, so we need to monitor, understand, to realize the trend. And this leads us to the third part, which is making the future of finance, which is Future Finance Forum today. Because making the future is important. Because some people believe in external locus of control. They leave themselves to destiny. Others predict the future and get prepared. But the most successful institutions are people who are making the future. So this is what we're going to do now. First thing in the big picture today are the objectives or the final products we have. We have financial inclusions, which is simply including all marginalized segments, especially poor people and informal sectors in the financial systems, micro, small, and medium enterprises, customer centricity. Customer centricity or customer protection rights is very important theme. It includes digital transformation and all innovations to serve the customer. Then ESG, environment, social, and governance. This is very important slide about technology, E versus D. There is a wrong theme. Many people think that technology is obsoleting too fast. I have a mobile, few months, there is another version, etc., etc. This is not true. The fact we need to understand that technology is progressing but not obsoleting. It is building on capitalizing previous milestones. How this come? On the top triangle, PCs, emails, mobiles, that was the 90s. It still exists. Then in 2000s, behind the chair, sorry, internet and dot-coms. It was the dot-coms era. Hotline.com, AmericaOnline.com, Yahoo.com, okay? Then in the last decade or so, digital apps and the platforms. All these technologies emerged into what I call beautiful monster. Sophisticated, hybrid, multi-functions device called the mobile. This simple tool is my life. I do work with, I attend meeting with, I contact my family with, I make payments, I pay bills. So mobile has become important platform. This important for the financial inclusion that today we have around worldwide 7 billion mobile lines. You know, population living on Earth today is only 8 billion. So you can imagine that almost all the people are having smartphones. Now we move to the stakeholders. There are, as I mentioned, 1,000 fintechs and institutions in the field. There are main three groups of stakeholders: providers, supply, okay, regulators, and the clients, which is demand. Very important, they are not moving together, but very important that no one of them is far ahead or far left behind. Why? Because if providers' innovations are too far, without regulations, this is random market. If regulators are ahead of providers, this is controlled market. If both are going hand in hand, okay, fine. But if users, clients are not on the same page, then there is infosec risk. Very important for providers, we all know the famous professor Michael Porter model of competitiveness, industry competitiveness. And one of the competitive determinants is entry barriers. Of course, in fintech, in banking, in finance, we have no barrier at all. Any entrepreneur or someone with a mobile or a laptop at home, he can make a platform or a product or app. So among vendors, we have on the top digital giants or the big techs. Then fintechs, the platform, Visa, MasterCards, banks and non-bank FIs, consumer finance, factoring, leasing, etc. Mobile operators. Today we see mobile operators having their financial wallets, financial payments, and also maybe to mention in Egypt, Etisalat and the famous Emirati mobile operator, has established microfinance company. And of course, with the digital wallet, they are getting closer and closer to financial field. Yes. So this is for the vendors. The vendors, maybe to mention the golden rush or the gold rush. In California, 1848, they discovered gold. So thousands and thousands of people rushed to California to get the gold. Banks, it's the same today. Banks, we are Californian, we are living with the gold. But then because this gold is here, thousands and thousands of fintech entrepreneurs are coming, sharing the gold with us. So this put big challenge on banks to remain the dominant player in this field. Bill Gates has the honor to attend 2 lectures for him in Egypt in early 20s. He said, banking is necessary, banks or not. Me or us as a banker, we accept this challenge, but after 23 years from this statement, banks are still on. Open banking. Open banking is important game changer, and I will talk about it. Open banking said that bank or the client is the owner of his data, not the bank. So the client, any client, individual, company, SMEs, investment fund, etc., has the right to give API access to any third party to his information. This is big challenge for banks. I will explain, but very important thing to talk about. As we mentioned, the big techs are sharing with banks now. This put big 4 challenges on bank. First is simplicity, convenience. Bank clients compare how simple and fast to have an order from Amazon or Facebook account versus having bank account. This is the challenge for banks. Second is personalized service. This is very important example. As we all know, when you visit one site, then you are surprised that you receive many posts in Facebook or maybe WhatsApp. So we said, okay, what happened? Google is with us, but this is the data analytics. We all know. Banks do not do this. For instance, when I use my credit card with the bank and book a flight to Emirates, I don't have offer from the bank very shortly that to have a hotel or car in Dubai or in Emirates or other ticket airline offers. But digital big techs do this. So this is a challenge to the bank. And in a global world or broader words, banks should use the data they have, which is mine gold, before other fintechs use it through open banking, before big techs use it, okay? User interface, also it's very user friendly, and of course security is very important. Of course, there are many platforms that didn't happen. This is very important slide and very challenging for the banks. This tells us how many years it took a product or platform to reach 50 million users. Telephone, it took them 75 years to have 50 million users. Then radio, 38. Television, 13. Internet, 4 years. So time is, decreasing. Okay, YouTube, 10 months to reach 50 million. Pokemon Go, it took them 19 days to reach 50 million users. Banks take care. Why? Out of the blue, you can find a big tech or a fintech having 50 million users. God knows how many of them would be your own clients. Of course, we all know Blockbusters and Netflix. This is maybe the previous panel we were talking about. That 15 years ago, the biggest companies in the world was mainly from oil and gas. Okay? Maybe China Mobile, Telecom, or ICBC Bank. Okay? But the others are mainly oil and gas. Only Microsoft and AT&T from Telecom also, and Microsoft. But today, or last year, almost 8 out of 10 biggest companies in the world are technology companies. Banks are having new competitors, platforms. Okay, of course, I put like PayPal, like others. I put here many brands or logos. No time to cover all, but very important to monitor that platforms. Platform by all researchers, it is the future of banking. So Uber, they have big platform, no cars. Airbnb, okay? So this is very important to think. Platforms has 3 revenue streams: transaction fees, subscription fees, and advertisements. Right. Now, of course, the big tech, we have now Apple Pay, Google Pay, PayPal, and many others. This is the big techs. Fintechs, we have thousands of fintechs. And when we talk about the trend, we will explain quickly how banks will cooperate with fintechs. Then the traditional banks at the end. This is the main group of the vendors. So now we ended the first part, which is unraveling the big picture. We knew what is the big picture, or in strategy term, where do we stand today? Now you see the trend, what is progressing. First, the gold rush. As I mentioned, gold rush, everybody discovered a gold in California. So till now, there are each and every day tens, if not hundreds, of fintechs entrepreneurs chasing the bank clients, chasing this treasure of gold. So banks should remain open for this. Banks are working, or some banks, in a redundant manner. Branches network, ATMs. Okay, this is for physical money, physical transactions. But also mobile banking, internet banking. Then we have digital banks. We have neobanks. I remember early 2000, I was head of financial institution relations in Egypt. I meet international banks. I tell them with proud, my bank opened one branch each month. They told me, okay, we close 10 branches each month. Why? Because it was start of digitalization in Europe. So this is a question. Are we opening branches or closing branches and focusing on digital channels? Here, Chat GPI. IQ is our God gift or granted intelligence versus artificial intelligence. Now I see even Elon Musk, which is of course a genius and the second, not the first richest man, Louis Vuitton passed him. So he said, Chat GPI, AI is very dangerous, we should slow down. Sorry, we are not going back. We should, when robots existed, everybody said we will lose our jobs. When computers, no problem, this is the same. We as IQ, we will control AI and have more and more applications. Now, about the trend, this is a white paper published by Supra. Supra is banking software working with 1,500 companies or banks worldwide. They made a survey with 800 senior bankers about the future of banking. Very important, I will spot the light, sorry I don't have the laser. They mentioned here in the bottom, open banking. 94% of recipients is working to invest in API contact with open banking applications. So again, open banking. This is a threat to banks, but also opportunity. Maybe to mention, EU started open banking in 2019. Bahrain, Mr. Adnan was here, was the first Arab country to approve open banking in 2020. Saudi Arabia a few months ago. Emirates is on the way. I think Egypt will come as well. So any client can sign for any company to access his data and they make artificial intelligence on it and give him service and advisory. This is very important here. The rise of platform-based, all the researchers, McKinsey, BCG, Deloitte, everybody on the internet, they focus on platform banking. Not only banking, but a platform of banking, financial, non-financial services. Shifting from creativity to resilience, in fact, both are important. And because there are many innovations, but resilience is important to sustain this. We hear a lot of genius ideas, perfect ideas, but there are hundreds and thousands. Which one will sustain the resilient one? Sustainable, okay. So embedded fintech to search, this is also about the platform. This is very important trend. It's a big question for banks because digital transformation is taking place. And of course, during COVID, it went too fast. But here, the big questions for banks, the customers are waiting not only for products, not only for deposits or loans, but I need financial advisory. I need the bank to tell me what to do best with my money to face the global inflation or the global economic turbulence. And this fintechs started this, using the data inside the banks. So this is important to the banks. Cybersecurity, of course, is very important, and I refer to different campaigns done by Union of Arab Banks, Union of Egyptian Banks. This is very important to the clients to be ahead in this important field. Last trend is Gen Z. Gen Z or Generation Z, this is very important clientele. Why? For me, when I joined SMEs, for instance, 15 years ago, I was working corporate, then SMEs, but I focused SMEs. The new generations are initiative SMEs, they work at SMEs only. Same of today. I was working with typewriter, computers, electronic, digital, but I focus on digital. But this generation, they know only digital. They are initiative or native mindset digital. So they will not accept or even they don't know any other language. So banks should focus on them. Maybe today they don't have a wealth of management, but shortly they will have. Now, we move to the last part before I leave the floor to my colleague Sherif El-Bahiri on time, making the future. When you see a film or TV, if you have the time, we don't have, but maybe short videos, when you see the making of, I don't only look at my celebrity making remarks or making laugh, but I think they created this film I'm going to see after. Same for the future. We need, as bankers, as fintechs, to set and make our future. Very important for banks. Open banking. I am a banker, but I confess there was a strategic gap that fintechs entered from. Fintechs early 2000, when with the creation of e-banking, were vendors. The bank go get a fintech company, please do this application for me, this trade finance application for me, okay? But because there was a gap, those vendors turn it into partners, okay? And they don't make the application and get the fees and go. No, they share the revenue of the transactions. So today, there is another equal challenge to banks, which is open banking. Do banks use the mine of data they have? The answer I see, not as a banker even, as a client in many banks worldwide, no. Fintech will close this. So this is very important to banks. Maybe it's not clear, but now most of the fintechs and the competitor, I would say, to banks are working mainly on loans. There is limitation on deposits. But we all see lately Apple with Goldman Sachs in the state, they created a saving account digital. So even the saving arena, fintechs will jump or are jumping soon. Sorry, this one. So here, of course, very important that banks are driven into innovation. Banks should do more innovations, 5 minutes, okay? To, as I mentioned, to be in line with the fintechs and information. This is the last slide, and this is very important advice to fintechs. We see many times founders or founder or co-founder and chairman, founder and MD, perfect. But why Swivel collapsed? Why Capital collapsed? Because there is no governance. Okay, maybe you are an intelligent guy, you have an idea, you are founder, perfect. But we should apply governance, maybe according to IFC SME's governance guidelines, to ensure that the management of this growing fintech or hopefully unicorn is capable of managing this firm. Thank you very much. It was my pleasure. This is my LinkedIn account and my QR. Thank you very much. And thank you. I leave the floor to my colleague, Mr. Sherif El-Bahiri. Thank you. Yes, please.
Thank you.
Yes, please, sir.
Brother Ahmed, Am I right? Ahmed, I'm Wahid Kasser. I'm the founder of First Islamic Bank in UK, and I'm also the founder and chairman of Islamic Bank in France. I'm a banker for the last 40 odd years. You mentioned about the founder and the chairman. You see, the onus is not just on the founder and the chairman. There are lots of things that needs to be put into action and in place, and also the execution. So what you need to do is, first of all, your management team has to be picked up on merit. You know, they have to have the relevant professional qualification and the experience, especially I'm talking about the top layer. And then they should have the, I would use the word decency, to make sure that they put their middle management team in place that is good and relevant to that particular job. What you have it on paper or the CV, that does not reflect exactly the criteria for the underlying. So those are the things that become, they cause the failure of the institution. And we have seen in last couple of months, there have been 3 banks in the United States, they failed. Yes. And there have been so many others. And I'll give you my example. I turned around a bank into profitable that was loss-making for 14 years.
Maybe 30 seconds, sir. Yes, please.
For 14 years. And I turned that around in 8 months. That was putting the right strategy, putting the right team in place, and making sure that the business model works as per the local economy and as per the local needs and the requirements of that country.
Thank you, sir. I fully agree with you, but because of time constraints, all what you mentioned is under IFC governance guidelines. Thank you very much. Thank you, everybody. Mr. Sharif.
مساء الخير. Hello, everyone. My name is Sharif Al-Bahiri. I'm heading the digital bank. It's a subsidiary for Bank Misr. I hope that we get the slides. Slides الجاية. They're using it.
No, I don't think so. Send an email. They have it on LSB or something.
لا I sent. Anyway, let me do the speech. The topic digitalization, it has been the trend for the past few years, and whether it's in banking or whether it's in different industries. The thing when we talk about a digital bank is that we're not really inventing a new thing. We're not really inventing a new business. Banking has been there for 1,000 years. And what we are trying to do is to invent a new channel of delivering the service. We've decided in Bank Misr to be the first bank in Egypt to enter the digital banking space. 100 years back, the founder of the bank, Talat Harb, decided to have the first Egyptian bank in the market. And 100 years later, Bank Misr is celebrating that by establishing the first digital bank in Egypt. But why a digital bank? We have a bank. We have already Bank Misr that can and is digitalizing itself into a modern bank. We took the step to get into the digital bank area was mainly driven by the gap in the market from the customer's expectation. Customers are today expecting the service, the likes of Amazon, the likes of Google, an immediate service. They request a service, they want to get it immediately. They don't want to go the other morning to the bank to get the banking service, they want it now. To create a 24/7 banking platform that requires an investment from scratch in the infrastructure and in the applications. Big pain points for customers, 24/7 banking. I want to transfer money at 3 a.m. I don't want to call the call center and they tell me that there is a batch run happening. I don't want the system down. It is secure. And unfortunately, I disagree a little bit with the session that was given before Dr. Antabli, which said that security is a big concern. Security might be a big concern for fintechs, but it has never been a concern for banks because this is our bread and butter. We don't spend 20-30% on security. Actually, we spend 70-80% on security. When people talk about digitalization, they say, yes, hackers is a big issue. But realistically, a digital bank, the core of a digital bank, the heart of a digital bank, is exactly the same as the heart of a conventional bank. A core banking system is a core banking system. I'm giving the service through a branch. I'm giving the service through a channel, which is digital. It doesn't matter for the hacker. The hacker is talking about the core banking system. Dr. Antabli, in the session before me, spoke about the failures of some of the startups. It's a learning curve anyway. Not 100% of the startups will continue. But one big failure when it comes specifically to the fintechs is the undermining of the governance, the undermining of the security behind it, the undermining of the leadership and money management. Everybody thinks that, let's create a company, growth rates, high profitability, and then let's move on. They forgot to put a lot of investment in the leadership. They forget to put a lot of investment in the systems, in the security. Everybody thinking that they are inventing banking. Actually, as I said, we're not inventing banking. Banking has been there for 1,000 years. All what we're trying to do is to deploy technology to give a better service to the customer. That's the whole idea of digital banking. We depend on fintechs a lot. We're buying a lot of applications and hardware from the fintechs. One small example is the face recognition or the identification, the customer identification for the KYC. We got it from one of the Egyptian fintech companies. And in collaboration with IDEMIA, which is the French large corporate. So we cannot say that fintechs is a threat to the banking sector. Actually, it complements. Banks has been banks. Banking will continue to be banking. It's a matter of who will be doing it right. A fintech can transform to do banking, to be a bank. We looked at the main pain points, like the accessibility, like the language. Customers, they don't really understand the difference between a current account and a saving account. They just need to save. So digital banks, they mainly speak to the customer needs rather than banking products. Surprisingly, when we did a customer research, when we asked customers about digital banking, and they said, yeah, we love not to go to a branch. We love to open an account over 24/7, sitting on my couch. But what about security? Is it guaranteed by the central bank? What about my money? Is my money safe? So we can see that, yes, customers, they are really into digitalization and into modernization, but still the core about banking, which is customers' confidence, comes out when we start digging deeper with the customers. They said, I will not put my money in a bank unless it is under the guarantee of the central bank. I will not put my money in a company unless it is guaranteed by some way or another. So yes, despite the customers, they love technology, they want to go the extra mile, and they want to get the ease of service, but still security and guarantee is a big aspect, and this is where the bank plays a big role. I'm honored to head the organization Masr Digital Innovation, which is established by Bank Misr to establish the first digital bank in Egypt. We already finalized the build, finalized the testing, and we are currently working with the Central Bank of Egypt to get the banking license. Very soon, inshallah, we're hoping that we can launch this year. More than happy to take any questions. I know that it is a very short session because I know we have to wrap it up. Thank you so much. Here you go.
Question from the audience.
Thank you very much. It's not a question. I would just like to, if you can take a couple of minutes, elaborate more about the first digital bank of Bank Masr. What are the target groups, how it will work, when we expect to hear about it in the news,
Sure.
and so on.
Sure. Actually, the target group, we didn't segment the market as the conventional market segmentation, which is by age, the youth, and we are targeting 100% of the population. And our segmentation mainly tackles the three main adopters. The early adopters, these are the people that they line up in front of Apple before the launch of a new phone. And these early adopters, they are people that will try whatever new technology that is coming. And then the next one is the digital savvy customers. Customers that will not really stand in front of the store in the morning, but they will come at a later stage, but early in the days. And then the third segmentation from us, it's what we call them the FOMO customers, the fear of being missed out. The people that will be sitting in a restaurant with their friends and they will be curious, like, what is this digital bank? What does it do? Download it for me, I want to use it. These are people that are fearing to be missed out. So our segmentation, it targets the three segments, the early adopters, the digital savvy, and the FOMO, or the late adopters. But specifically, we're looking at two main use cases. And again, we decide or we draw. Normally the word of digitalization, you throw yourself and then the wave takes you. So what happened is we decide a use case, one or two use cases. But then you launch and then you start getting from the customers the use cases. Customers create use cases. The beauty about creating a digital bank from scratch, and this is why Bank Misri invested in a new platform, is that we created a platform that is data-driven, that we can drive 100% of the customer needs or read the customer needs through reading their behavior on the screen, actually scanning their eyes on the screen, scanning where they press the buttons. So we created one or two use cases, one for youth, which is starting 18 years old till 30, and then another one 30 plus. But then we decided, okay, we will not decide what the customer wants, we'll just read what the customer wants and then we'll create our use cases. Did I answer your question?
Quick question. Now, do you think that eventually, okay, as a Bank Misr, you are establishing a digital bank. Do you think that eventually the entire bank will become a digital bank? Eventually, I mean, is
doubt.
this the trend?
I doubt. Actually, the MDI is 100% digital, and it's owned by Bank Misr, which is hybrid, which is a conventional bank, but working on the digital transformation. I doubt that digital banks will replace 100% branches. There will be some use cases. Actually, even today, there are use cases. For example, God forbid, death. A customer died. You cannot close an account virtually for a customer that died. Sorry to say, it's a negative aspect, but you have to see إعلام الوراثة. You have to see some formal documentation, court documentation, to say that this customer is deceased and we need to inherit, his money need to go to his kids and family. So there are some cases that you have to see the customer physically or the relatives physically. So to replace it 100%, I think banking is different. Despite I'm the CEO of a digital bank, but I'm saying that it will never cease to exist. The physical touch points. Pleasure. Thank you.
We will resume our sessions right after the lunch. Please, let's move to the next room for 1 hour.